I'm Morgan Beard here inside the Tiger TV studio, joined with a very special guest, none other than the man Marcus Spears, former LSU All-American defensive lineman. Marcus, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be back in my old alma mater, hanging out with you guys and talking a little LSU football and hopefully about myself a little bit because I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think we might talk about it just a little bit. But yeah, you're a Baton Rouge boy, a Louisiana kid. You grew up 5 minutes down the road. You were telling us what's it feel like to be back on campus and be back in your hometown?
It feels great, man. I mean, it brings back a lot of memories. I had the opportunity to meet with some folks that were here and on campus before I actually got here and invested a lot of time in me and put a lot of energy into me being successful. So they had the opportunity to come back and see the university thriving well, still playing great football. It feels good to be back.
And we'll talk about this current Tiger team in just a little bit. And any self-respecting LSU fan would know that you were a part of the '03 championship season, All-American, of course, as we discussed. And we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But one thing fans may not know is that you came into LSU as a freshman playing on the other side of the ball, a little bit of offense.
It was a crazy story, man. I was the #1 tight end in the country coming out of high school, and I was recruited as a tight end. Offensive coordinator, who is Jimbo Fisher, who's the head coach at Florida State, he was the offensive coordinator when I was being recruited by LSU, and Coach Saban. And all the conversations was that, hey, you playing tight end. We've implemented the tight end. A guy by the name of Robert Raw had a lot of success as a tight end. And I came in, and then almost at the end of my freshman year, they said, we switching you to defense. And I was like, nope, that's it. I'm transferring. I came here to play tight end. And I guess the rest is history.
Well, what caused the change out of nowhere? Why did they want to
Well, we had some guys graduating. We had Jarvis Green leaving. He was a vet, was about to get drafted. His cousin, Howard Green. We had Kyle Kipps, who was another defensive end. So we were senior laden in the starting lineup. And Coach wanted to get big athletic guys that can move fast on the other side of the ball. And I happened to be one of those guys, and I had the opportunity to go over and play. And we played great defense and had a blast and won a national championship.
Yeah, it obviously turned out for the better, given the results.
Absolutely.
Now, on that '03 season, you had a lot of talent on that team. You played alongside, on the line alone, Chad Lavallee is a guy that people remember from that team. And then on the team as a whole, Michael Clayton, Andrew Whitworth, Justin Vincent, the national championship MVP. What made that year and that team so special?
I think it was just brothers coming together. We had spent a lot of time together, put in a lot of work. We had coaches that were solely devoted to making sure that we had a bunch of success on the football field and off the field, and we just felt like we were better than everybody else. Just to be candid and honest with you, we thought we had the talent. We thought we had the right guys in the right place. Everybody knew their status on the team. They knew the positions they were going to be playing, and we really felt strongly that if we put it together, we could have insurmountable success. And I was naive enough to think as a freshman coming in, and I opened my big trap and said, hey, we're going to win a national championship before I leave here. And thank God we did it.
Yeah. It wasn't Andrew Whitworth and a couple other guys that were joining you on that prediction as well?
Andrew Whitworth, Michael Clayton, Marquise Hill. So we had, and the great thing about that year in Louisiana, we had a lot of guys that were #1 in position, top 20 in high school football players. So we all kind of hit the nest egg at the right time, and we were lined up. All of us was class of 2001, so we came in and we made some noise.
The cards were aligned for that year, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you won the championship, and you were already regarded as one of the best defensive linemen in the nation, set up for the draft, but you decided to come back another year for your senior season. What played into that decision?
I loved college. I loved college, and I thought we could win another one. I thought we had a chance. We had a great team returning. I thought we had the opportunity to win another championship, so that played in a part of it. And just wanting to get the whole experience. I had enjoyed my time here playing for the Tigers. I love walking in the Death Valley, taking the walk down the hill. All of that stuff is what I thought about, and that played into my deciding factor. And also to get closer to graduating. So it was just it was a culmination of a lot of things that made me come back. And I always, I said the NFL is not going to end existence this year, so I'll have time to go.
They could wait another year for
Absolutely.
you, obviously. And you mentioned Victory Hill and the band and everything like that. So a lot of the things at LSU are still the same, compared to your time here, but a lot of things are really different as well.
Yeah.
A lot of new buildings on campus. But the big one, the Tiger Stadium expansion, have you got a chance to see that yet?
I have. I passed by the stadium, and I honestly don't know how people are going to play in the stadium. I don't know how you'll be able to hear. When I was here, it was 93, between 93 and 98 every game, and it was deafening. And now, what is it, 102?
103, 231 or something around there, yeah.
I mean, that is absurd. They've already set off the Richter scale back in the day, with celebrating. So are we preparing for earthquakes every game now?
I think so, the seismograph meter.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
Going.
I'm excited with the progress that the university has made on the football front, but also the new business school. And, you see new baseball facilities. The football facility is about to go into a transition. It's a success. It's a credit to the state of Louisiana. It's a credit to LSU, and most of all, it's a credit to the students and the faculty that's here.
And new locker rooms, of course, in that stadium. Do you think these incoming freshmen, these young bucks coming in, are a little spoiled nowadays with all the stuff they get?
Well, they all spoil. And in order to, the one thing that we've noticed, and talking about this on our Saturday morning show, is that you have to recruit that way now. You have to have nicer facilities, places that these guys want to be, and they want to be a part of what's going on. I had the opportunity to look at Texas A&M's new facility at Kyle Field, and their new practice and workout facility. You got to keep up. You got to catch up now, but you got to keep up. And LSU was kind of the leaders in developing that whole football side and having a devotion to players with lounges and places to be and relax. So now they have to upgrade, and I'm pretty sure that it won't be too long in the tooth before they do.
And one thing about all these players, they only get to enjoy these facilities for about 2 to 3 years now with all the early departures. Going back to what we said about you, you came back for your senior season.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, a lot of players aren't doing that these days.
Yeah.
And it's not only an LSU problem, it's a problem, nationwide. What do you think that means for college football going forward? And do you think that'll return back to the days of people staying their senior year, or do you think those are times, gone by?
Well, it'll get to a point where it returns, where guys are returning and playing. I think now just the culture of football is everybody wants to play pro football and want to get there as fast as possible. And you have different circumstances, guys, financial situation, family situation, that forces you into a decision per se to do something different. But I think for the most part, it'll get back to guys being here for 4 years, enjoying the college experience. But, when millions of dollars are calling for certain players, not everybody. I don't want everybody to get the impression that every guy that leaves early experiences that level of success. But when that's a possibility, that's a real thought that you need to think about, because in football, injuries do happen, and you do deal with things that could negatively affect you moving forward in the future. So I think those options need to be weighed. I think more information needs to be given out, and these players will be fine. They'll start doing 4-year tenures like myself.
And you actually had a chance to talk to the freshmen of the football team earlier on your visit here on campus at LSU. Was that a talking point? What kind of advice did you give to the young kids?
I really, not really. It wasn't the talking point, because I want those guys to do what their heart desires, and I want them to be in a situation where they're comfortable with the decision they make. I don't want to influence a young man to do anything he doesn't want to do, and I don't necessarily get caught up in trying to say, hey, you're good enough to go as a junior, you're good enough to go as a senior. To each his own. It's between you and your family, and y'all make that decision, and you figure out what's best for you as an athlete and what you want to do moving forward. But the advice and the talk that I had with the freshmen this morning was just about life, about approaching things the right way, staying out of trouble, continuing to be productive, and make sure that you're doing what you desire to do.
And they have to juggle all the distractions that you talked about with them earlier this morning while they're playing football.
Yeah.
And let's get down to the reason why we're here, and that's for the football team.
Absolutely.
This year's edition, we talked about the young guys and all of that, new quarterbacks coming in, Leonard Fournette on the offensive side. Just as a fan, as a former LSU alum, what do you see in this year's team, and what do you see about them going forward?
I think they're going to stun a lot of people. I think, just like my assessment of the LSU football team is that they're young, a bunch of talent, great athletes, but they're young. And people think that won't get them over the hurdle. They'll bite some people because they won't prepare for a senior-laden or an older team. I think they have the opportunity to win 10 games this year, if not more. They'll shock some people, but the SEC West is so difficult to win in. I mean, you're talking about 3 of the top 25 teams in the country on this side of the conference. So it's definitely something that LSU is going to have to fight every year. Ole Miss is now recruiting great. Alabama is recruiting great. Mississippi State is getting better. Those nemesis are going to be there every single year, staring down your face. So LSU is doing the same thing. They're competing well. They're recruiting well. They'll have opportunity to make plays and put themselves in the position to be in the college football playoff.
And you mentioned the other teams like Ole Miss and Mississippi State on the rise. And that leads us to the opponent this week, Mississippi State coming into Death Valley. With your SEC network analytical skills, can you break down that game and show us what we're coming to expect this week?
You know, LSU has done a great job on defense, not giving up any points. Now, everybody would say, well, they played who? Mississippi State has one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Dak Prescott is the truth. He has these guys believing, and he also has this offense moving in a direction. Mississippi State has struggled on defense, giving up big plays. They're allowing big plays, and that's advantageous to LSU because they run the ball successfully, and they have the type of athletes that can hit the home run. You know, we talked a lot about Malachi Dupree as a freshman, but Darrell has came out of nowhere and is stunning everybody.
He only catches touchdowns and first downs.
He only catches touchdowns and first downs. So he's another thing that people have to plan and prepare for, along with Kenny Hilliard. I think Anthony Jennings is playing solid. I don't think it's anything great or extraordinary, but I think he's moving the offense the way it needs to be moved. But now getting into season play, Mississippi State will be better. Dan Mullen will be a better coach. Les is going to get better. LSU is going to get better. But now it's, at this point, who's the better team? And we'll see on Saturday.
And it's the first SEC test of the season. Now, before we let you go, can you give us a score for this game? Are you allowed to do that?
Let me see. I'm not sure. I think it'll be a low-scoring game because both of these defenses has the ability to make plays. So maybe 17-10.
LSU, right?
Absolutely.
Goes without saying.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus, we're about out of time. Really appreciate the
Thanks
interview.
for having
Thanks
me,
for
man.
stopping.
Absolutely.
We hope you can come back soon and
I
give us
will.
a visit.
I will be back.
All right. For Marcus Spears, I'm Morgan Beard. We'll send it back to you, Johnny.